Hello, sport fan. This is Steven here with Sports Choice Plus. I'm bringing you a very special breakdown. I'm going to be covering the top 10 NFL quarterbacks of all time. Before I get right into that, I want to make sure you're subscribed. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now so you can get all the updates, all the videos. Hit the notification bell. You want to make sure you're getting every single time we have content so you can be a part of the conversation. You can have your name up in lights so we can conversate and debate with you each and every week here at Sports Choice Plus so you can debate with me each and every week. Without further ado, let's get right into this top 10 all-time quarterback list. Now, I'm going to get into this. In order to make this list, it's not just about, Super Bowls. It's not just about passing yards, not just about touchdowns. It's about the intangibles. It's about your imprint on the game, the way that you change the game of football as a quarterback. This is what this list is for, the top 10 all-time quarterback list. And we're going to get started with number 10. Coming in number 10, the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s were looking for a voice. They were looking for a leader. They were looking for so many different things. And they found that with this young man. He went through a couple of years in college where he went from Oklahoma, he went to UCLA, he did different things. He stumbled a little bit when he got in the pros, but he eventually found his footing. And he became the leader of the triplets. He became the leader of Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and also, his name's Troy Aikman. His stamp on not only 90s football, but the way that the Dallas Cowboys played football was tremendous. Having that offensive line, being the leader of men, and having players for some years like a Deion Sanders, having your players like a Michael Irvin, having the Emmitt Smiths, having the big personalities in your locker room, and still being able to be the head man in charge, being able to work with Jimmy Johnson, being able to deal with Jerry Jones. He did a lot of things well, and his career speaks volumes. The way that he was able to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl and fend off potential dynasties in the process. Think about how many Bills teams he stopped from possibly getting a Super Bowl. Think about how many other teams he stopped from possibly putting one up on the board. And his ability to play in big games, his ability to take big hits. I know later in his career he took a lot of shots and got concussions, but for the most part, Troy Aikman, not only as a football player, transcended the quarterback position, and he was able to do a lot of big things in Dallas. That's why he's at number 10. Coming in at number 9, you're looking at Otto Graham. This is a little bit before my time, but you can see his impact and his stats. You can see his impact before there was really big stats back then. In the 1940s, the Cleveland Browns were led by Otto Graham. Just giving you a little history lesson. He was one of the first quarterbacks to win the MVP. He kept the Cleveland Browns in championship mode. He's an essential Pro Bowler. And you look at what he was able to do with his legs and his arms. Before there was really mobile quarterbacks or dual threat quarterbacks, he was the guy going out and throwing the football for 30 touchdowns and starting to run the ball for more than 100 yards. Before they started keeping big stats and things like that, Otto Graham had the Cleveland Browns in a position to win each and every year, and he not only had his team in the championship game year after year after year. That's why he's at number 9 on this list. Coming in at number 8, his story is still untold. He's not finished yet. He's not retired yet. But when it's all said and done, Aaron Rodgers may be a little higher on this list when he finally retires. But right now, he is at number 8. The way that he's able to carry the Green Bay Packers week in and week out, the throws he's able to make, the pinpoint accuracy he's able to have, the way that he's able to go up and down the field and throw from any angle on the field, being able to zip it 60, 70 yards, his pocket awareness, the smartness that he has, the IQ as a football player, the understanding of defenses, being able to psych them out and play, the ability to put it needle to thread. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most top 10 physically gifted athletes of all time. So you're talking about his ability to pinpoint 60, 70 yards, being able to throw something in holes where nobody could get it. The biggest thing we're seeing is when you look at him and his relationship with Davante Adams, look at most of the highlights when he's leading Davante Adams and drops it in the breadbasket. That's one of those things that he's able to do. Look at his Super Bowl, the game from his Super Bowl. He was running all over the place, zipping, zagging, dipping, dodging, and getting the job done. Aaron Rodgers belongs on this list. He's at number 8 because of what he's done to the game of football. He's still great as of right now. Coming in number 7, he went out on back-to-back Super Bowls. You see how he could potentially have been drafted to the Yankees, and he threatened to not play football at all, and the Denver Broncos were able to get his rights from the Colts. And you're looking at just what able to do when he was in the NFL with Dan Reeves, and then he played for Coach Shanahan, and they were able to build up a good relationship. He was able to build up the likes of Terrell Davis. He was able to build up the likes of one Shannon Sharp. We're talking about John Elway. The ability to stand in there and take hits, big, strong, healthy quarterback. The ability to lead, the ability to use his legs. He's one of the first quarterbacks to throw for 4,000 yards, 40,000 yards, and 3,000, and run for 3,000 yards as well. He's able to not only get the job done, but when you think about the Denver Broncos, he is the Denver Broncos. When you think about their history and what it means, the legacy-wise, the mile-high salute, all those things, it's Denver Broncos because of John Elway. Coming from the 80s, leading them all the way to the 2000s, a lot of different teams came. A lot of different teams. He beat off some pretty good teams. When you look at him stopping Brett Favre, him stopping the potential Patriots movement, it's a lot of things that happened during his time. So you got to think, at this point in time, John Elway has cemented himself in the top 10. He comes in at number 7. The ability to win games, big games. He retired on 2 Super Bowls back-to-back. Coming in at number 6, Johnny U, the Colts. Looking in the 1950s, he was one of the first do-it-all quarterbacks, running the football, throwing the football, multiple MVP nominations, being able to go to the big game, taking his team and betting all odds on himself, being very cocky, if you will, being able to be flamboyant and telling people, hey, I'm the greatest of all time. This is who Johnny U was. He stared conflict in the face. He stared defenses in the face and dared them to do something about it. His ability to carry his team in the 50s. We're not talking about the 2000s. We're not talking about the 90s. We're not talking about the 80s. What he was able to do was very impressive. And you're seeing exactly the fruits of his labor and the ability to not only make history, but the ability to make people around him better on those football teams. He's the reason why those teams won championships. And you got to think, he's the reason why so many different people made a living playing football. And you just see it, the cockiness and the way he played, it's impeccable. Coming in number 5, the sheriff, the guy that built Indianapolis after Johnny U. And you look at just as the machine, the way that he's able to process defenses, the way he was able to Omaha, the way he was able to do so many different things. We're talking about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning changed the game of football. He threatened defenses like nobody else did. He was able to scare people. He was able to make defensive coordinators stay up all night, defenders stay up all night because they didn't know what his game plan was. He's cerebral. He knows the game in and out. The ability to make those Colts team better, the ability to make those Broncos team better. Remember, the team that won the Super Bowl, he wasn't, for the Denver Broncos, he wasn't a big part of that because of his neck and arm situation. But the year before, he threw for over 50 touchdowns. You're looking at him and what he did with Marvin Harrison and Edgerrin James, then Dallas Clark and Dwight Freeney, the way he was able to protect those Colts defenses because he was putting up multiple 30, 40, 50-yard touchdown seasons, and he was scoring at a record pace to where his team did have an opportunity to win. And you're looking at what he did in Denver in carrying those young teammates, like a Demaryius Thomas and such, like a Wes Welker and such, being able to not only build those different franchises, but also win those different franchises championships. That's why Peyton Manning is on this list at number 5. Transcendent talent. Look at it from college, high school, number 1 overall pick. You know, he did so many different things that was great. And Peyton Manning is the reason why you have so many different things for this team going forward. Coming in at number 4, San Francisco 49ers had Joe Montana, and then they got this guy, San Francisco treat, Steve Young. The ability to play with Jerry Rice and make it seem like seamless transition from Joe Montana to Steve Young. All those games against Green Bay on Sunday afternoon that I watched, all those games against the Giants that I watched, where he was slippery as a snail. He was able to get out of potential sacks and get the ball down the field. Those Super Bowl runs that he had were very impressive. When you look at the ability to take that offense and elevate that offense to a higher level, the ability to make his teammates better, the ability to lead the charge, his pinpoint accuracy, the way that he was able to use his legs, that's why Steve Young is number 4 on this list. Many people don't understand that he played in an era where you had a lot of talented quarterbacks. He literally followed the pressure of Joe Montana and was able to deliver a Super Bowl after that. It's incredible. Steve Young did that. Coming in at number 3, the leader of the West Coast offense, if you will. When you look at Bill Walsh and the way that he implemented everything before Steve Young, before any of that, when he had a young Jerry Rice, when he had a young Taylor, when he had a young offense, and he was able to masterfully put that together like a young symphony. He was able to the orchestra. He was able to direct everybody and move them left and right, and being able to make sure everybody's on key, and he's able to boom, 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 boom. And then also, people don't realize Montana had legs. Montana could get out the pocket. He was stiff when he got older, but he was able to move a little bit. He had a little bit mobility to him. Joe Montana not only set history with different marks, his Super Bowl greatness, not losing in the big game, being able to make sure that when the big game arose, he was at its highest peak. He was able to get up there and shine like a diamond every single time. The ability to not only make that offense simple, he made it look simple, but he also elevated the play of people around him. That's why Joe Montana's on this list. He's at number 3 for a reason. He dominated so many different years. No matter who he had on his team, no matter if he had Deion or not, he was challenging the Dallas Cowboys. He was challenging the Green Bay Packers. He was challenging anybody that was in his way, and they won at a high level. They won at an impressive level, too. Coming in number 2, this is one of the best quarterbacks to not ever win a Super Bowl title. Look at his run from, I believe, 83 to about 99. Coming out as a rookie, he did some amazing things. Being an MVP candidate, not having a real number 1 on his team, not having a real running game on his team, not having the best defense on his team, and him being the franchise for almost every single year that he played. When you look at the likes of coming out of University of Pittsburgh and to be able to have that kind of pressure on your shoulders as a quarterback and be the best quarterback out of your draft and to be one of the most productive pure passers of all time, I'm talking about Dan Marino. I'm talking about with the likes of Jimmy Johnson on the latter parts of his career. I'm talking about with what he had, he got the most out of. He was able to put the most into his career, and time after time after time, Dan Marino delivered. When you look at his defense that let him down, sometimes his offense let him down. Dan Marino, time after time, blood, sweat, and tears, was physically one of the most gifted quarterbacks I've ever seen in my lifetime. Being able to see him play once in person, being able to see him be shifty, be a little mobile, and then gun the ball down the field. I'm talking 50, 60, 70 yards through the air with ease. My God, the guy was a strong arm quarterback, could throw from anywhere in the pocket, could make sure he was the manipulator of defenses, and he did it with ease. He did it with style. He did it with grace. And even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, the kid still rocked. He still had a hell of a career. That's why he's at number 2. When you think about Mr. Miami Dolphin, when you think about that franchise, it's because of Dan Marino. Yes, they have an undefeated team in that history, but Dan Marino is the most valuable player to ever come through that door in Miami. And he led the Miami Dolphins for that whole time he was there. And last but not least, you know the GOAT. You know the guy in Tampa. You know the guy that won so many championships in New England and then said, let me remix this and get to Tampa and win it without Bill Belichick. The guy that forever has been one of the models of consistency for playing, consistency for getting the job done, competitive nature, competitive wins, fourth quarter drive comebacks, being able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, being able to do everything and anything under the sun. We're talking about Tom Brady, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. We're talking about the guy that every Sunday straps it up and is a warrior. He takes beatings after beating, but still is somehow able to break down defenses and win Super Bowls. When you look at his Super Bowls that he lost, he could have easily won both those games. But he fought and he's faced adversity. He's faced so many different things, and he's still risen to the top, the cream of the crop, time after time. Tom Brady is the reason why we have the GOAT quarterback. And you're looking at Tom Brady, there was a conversation about Joe Montana versus Tom Brady, who's better, but he shattered the mold so far. He's gone above and beyond. He's done the Michael Jordan of the championships in the NFL. I don't think we'll ever see another Tom Brady get to that many Super Bowls and win that many Super Bowls. But I think what he's done is impressive. It's been phenomenal, and he's had a hell of a career. He's still playing at 45. So this is my top 10 list for the top 10 all-time quarterbacks. Let me know what you think about your top 10. Get in the comment section. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you like? Don't you like? Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus for all the breakdowns and all the updates, and we'll see you on the very next video.